evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will be discussing about why kids should not have social media. Social media is harming our youth in many ways that can be harmful and worthless. Social media can also contribute to anxiety and low self-esteem, which can lead to how a child might compare themselves to filtered images they see online. For example, it could be an AI generated photo, it could be a deep fake photo, it could be anything that's weird online. I myself has dealt with cyberbullying many times over, fun fact. I've also done several projects based on how kids should not be having social media, and it does affect them in so many other ways, from elementary school all the way to maybe when you're an adult. A child has developmental stages throughout their life if they keep using social media as a result. There are three ways into why kids should not be allowed on social media. It is mental and physical health, it is eye addiction, and it is always about misinformation, which is a very concerning topic that trends along on social media, because not every child is informed about whether it's a true topic or a true info coming from a true source. It might be actually false. According to Carol Vivid in her article of social media and mental health in children and teen, that's a quote, social media can affect young kids from mental and physical health. First, social isolation is a major state of complete lack of contact between an individual and society, which means that what if a kid keeps using social media but he sees more online friends than he sees of his friend group in real life? It could be at school, it could be at his workplace. It does affect the kid himself from, communication, actual communication. It contributes to depression, which is a very known thing that most people do have, but kids also develop that during school, but also on social media as well, because cyberbullying is well known on social media, and kids do, in fact, get depression along the way, and many sources have said that it does include suicidal rates as a result. And they also are being afraid of, talking to others that also contribute to their life, but instead they rather talk to people online that rather be hateful instead of, being kind and genuine. And it can head to a lack of sleep. Now, the average person in America has 8 hours of sleep. So what if a child goes on social media scrolling for the last 5 hours? You minus 8 hours by 5 hours, the child gets like 3 hours of sleep. But what if they do it at 3 a.m.? Of course, they're gonna have lack of sleep. It's very well known to have 8 hours of sleep, or maybe 6 or 8 hours of sleep, so that the child can, wake up in the morning and be ready for school. But instead, if they keep scrolling on social media, the child's gonna be affected in so many ways. According to Sarah Miller in her article of the addictiveness of social media, now we're on the topic of social media, how teens get hooked. Social media can be a high addiction to kids. For example, dopamine triggers high addiction in kids through platforms that use a cycle of seeking and receiving rewards. Now, for example, what if you meet a YouTuber online and you have seen their fame, their whole history, but you're still looking for the attention that you want from them, but it doesn't, it doesn't go out the way that you want it to be. And it can also negatively impact your grades. So like I said, for example, a child uses their phone for 5 hours of scrolling, and instead, it's 2 p.m. after school, they come home, scroll on their phone for 5 hours, they haven't done their work. And tomorrow it's one of their assignments from one of their classes, let's say astronomy. They have to do something about how the earth rotates 24 hours a day using math. They haven't studied, and they should have used social media to find answers that they can write down upon. And if they don't turn in the assignment and instead they use social media to just mindlessly scroll, then they're not doing the work and they get an automatic F. So that's one of the second reasons why the kids should not be using social media. Now, the third and final reason, according to Philip Howard, in his article, Digital Misinformation, Disinformation, and Children, misinformation can affect kids significantly, psychologically, and behavioral harming. Now, artificial intelligence, which has been the global trend for a very long time since the 60s, has amplified the problem, allowing problematic content to be produced at a rate moderators can't keep up with. It has been noted on YouTube that AI generated content has been spreading around, and most moderators that work on YouTube cannot fix that problem and can only do it for less. Um, Health related misinformation, yes, kids do need to know about health, but it has to be factual, it cannot be misinformed. And it's very misleading for kids to learn that AI generates all this information. They're like, so how did COVID-19 contribute to globalism? How did it affect my life? Did the vaccine work, or was it, a drug that the CDC decided to put? I don't know. And children can also encounter deepfakes. They can also encounter AI generated content, and they can also see rumors online that they should well fact check before they decide to spread also that sort of rumor. Now, in conclusion, social media is a problem for kids because of mental physical health. It is a problem with addiction and misinformation. It is very important to teach children about how they should not be using social media, but we should also teach them as parents, older generations to the younger generation, that we should be teaching them how to use it properly instead of negatively, because otherwise it'd be passed down generation from